Climate change and compound flooding in Ōtautahi Christchurch.
Our global climate is changing. We are already noticing that our sea levels in Aotearoa are rising. This is because melting ice adds volume to the sea, and warming oceans take up more space. In the case of the Earth warming by 2 degrees, the water level of the Avon estuary outlet could rise by a metre by the end of the century 2100. Human-caused climate change impacts such as increased rainfall, rising sea levels and greater storm severity could see an increase in large-scale flooding events for people close to the Ōtautahi Avon River in Ōtautahi. Depending on how we choose to combat climate change, there are various ranges of sea level rise Christchurch could experience.
Flooding can be a real issue if you live near the coast or by a river. Floods can occur from high rainfall, high tides, storms and other processes.
Sometimes events can occur by themselves or in combination, which is called compound flooding.
As Teaghan just mentioned, compound flooding can occur from various combinations of these events, meaning that the flood could be bigger and more widespread. Will increasing sea level have an impact on compound flooding? Yes. For example, in Ōtautahi Christchurch, the Avon River drains into the sea. Now imagine during a storm, if the sea level rises at the river mouth, water will struggle to drain into the sea and could spread across the surrounding areas.
So here in Christchurch, how could compound flooding affect you and our community?
We're going to take a look at the Avon River.
The Avon River is a tidal system which is influenced by the ocean, which in turn could be impacted by sea level rise. With high seas, if a storm system comes through, bringing high rainfall, these two flood sources can create the perfect conditions for compound flooding to occur.
We have used special software to model 2 different compound flooding scenarios. These models show flooding in blue and magenta colours caused by Avon River flows combined with high tides. The left shows a present-day flood and the right shows a predicted flood for the year 2100. The present-day flood is for a 1 in 100 year river flood, whereas the 2100 model includes a 1 metre sea level rise and a 20% increase in river flow to compensate for climate change. It is important to note that this model is limited because it does not include flooding due to other processes such as runoff from urbanisation. However, this modelling shows that compound flooding is going to have a greater impact on our physical environment. The 2022 scenario shows a potential of 836 houses impacted by flooding, which increases to 3,554 houses, which is more than 4 times greater.
Compound flooding coupled with rising sea levels is likely to have a series of short and long-term impacts.
Short-term impacts could be direct damage to infrastructure, roads, and surrounding properties.
Long-term impacts will likely be more severe, including loss of property, infrastructure, land, and haora well-being. There can also be damage to habitats and the environment. Large financial costs will also be felt by communities.
So what can we do to minimise these impacts? There are 3 mitigation concepts: avoid, protect and prepare, which will inform and guide communities and future developers about compound flooding. We can use flood hazard maps such as this one found on the Christchurch City Council website and flood risk assessments to identify areas prone to compound flooding now and in the future. These tools can assist you to make informed decisions. Currently along the Avon River there are gabions, stop banks in place to reduce the risk of flooding to surrounding areas.
Other measures could include sustainable drainage and infiltration, rock armour, groins, river straightening, dredging and flood relief channels. Soft engineering techniques can also be used to reduce the extent of compound flooding, such as riparian planting zones.
The important thing is not to panic. There are things we can do.
Guys, come back!
According to Civil Defence Emergency Management Canterbury, you should be prepared for before, during and after a flood.
So how can you and your community get involved? Talk to each other. Discuss what is important to you and your community. Do you have any common concerns about climate change impacts? Get involved in community-led groups such as Greening the Red Zone and the Ōtautahi River Network.
Go to the council information talks, ask questions and have your voice heard.
Contact to the council. The more people who submit with the same view on proposals, the more influence the community will have on council decisions.
Reduce your carbon footprint, take sustainable transport options, bus, ride a bike or test your legs out.
We hope you have learnt a bit about compound flooding and climate change.
And steps you can take for a more resilient future.
If you want to learn more, check out the following links.
Thanks for watching.
Ka kite no au I koe tau.